How's the strike come along? What got you guys to strike eventually?
The firings. We didn't want to strike. You know, we told Tim Murphy that if he comes meet with us at 2 p.m. yesterday and have a discussion with us, that after this discussion, we will all go to work. And the people that were currently working at 2, we told them to finish out their shift. Because we were only going to strike if they refused to talk to us. Tim said he was coming here. He lied, and he didn't come here. Said all of us called him saying we want you to come here and just have a discussion with us. He had no respect for us and didn't come to us to have a discussion. At that point, we didn't work. So Global 1 had no one to work last night. This is Global 1. They have no one to drive that truck right now. Global 3 in Rochelle walked out last night. I work at Global 2. I didn't work. Juan Garcia worked a 24-hour shift, which is illegal per DOT standard and blue flag light standard. According to FRA, people who use blue flag can only work 12-hour shifts. Juan Garcia worked 24-hour shift yesterday trying to cover for Mobile Railway Union Pacific. And we told Tim today, he come in, meet with us and talk with us, everybody will go back to work. They still don't want to talk to us about the unfair labor practice. The unfair labor practice, firing 3 people illegally right after OSHA inspections. As soon as the OSHA inspections happened, fire, fire, fire. And when we looked at it, that was an immediate threat on us because we didn't know if we were going to keep our jobs. So we had to respond to the firings to keep the jobs of the people we have and to force them to reinstate the people that they fired illegally. Because yes, we can go through the legal process and they'll get their jobs back and get back pay and everything, but what's the point of doing that if they have to wait 3, 4, 5, 6 months? You know, and then that's going to screw up our election. So we're demanding they hire them back now.
What kind of impact do you think this is having on Mobile Rail?
Mobile Rail struggling. They've been trying to call people for backup. Most of the people to back them up are either out here or they're at home. Guy at Global 3 is coming here to take a photo with us. They had no one, like I said, they have no one to work at Global 1. They have no one to work at Global 3. They have no one to work the South Suburban yards. They're not going to have anyone to do their West Chicago yards this Saturday. Union Pacific is fining Mobile Rail 10%, meaning of the millions of dollars they paid them, they get paid 10% less as a penalty for forcing Union Pacific to take up the slack for us. That's the impact right now. And they're having to use drivers and making them work 24-hour shifts to cover everything. If they don't, those guys cannot work like that 7 days a week. And if that keeps going, you know, DOT and FRA is going to get involved. You know, all this just so we can't form an actual union. They're willing to risk the contract, risk hurting their customer over not even talking with us. You know, the election was on the 14th. It is on August 14th.
So what are you guys looking for? What would be like a success?
Well, the first success would be come here and hire all the 3 guys who illegally fired back. We want to hire and firing freeze. We can handle the shadowing, spying on us, following us. Doesn't bother us. We all do our job. I challenge people to watch me do my job, you know. But I told we want to have a fair election, stop the union busting tactics, you know. Reinstate everybody and don't fire anybody else. And that's pretty much the main thing we want for right now. Everything else we'll do at the actual negotiating table.
What things would you negotiate for in the future? Like, what do you want with your demands from the business?
Well, all of us have different things. We're going to form our own contract ourselves. You know, hey, for some people, wow. All right. For some of us, I say for me personally, I want to be able to do my job and be protected doing my job. The other day, Tim threatened to write me up because I want it in writing that I don't need to dump all the toilets on the engines. I want it in writing that I don't have to clean all the windows. Because I requested this in writing, he claimed this was insubordination. I said no, I would not do a semi-good job without it being in writing. Because if I do a semi-good job, someone audits my engines a week later, I can be fired because I didn't service the engines properly. And I told him I will continue to service these engines properly to the full extent of the contract, to what I've been trained to do, until he gets it to me in writing. And why someone could have their job threatened for that? So I know once we were having a contract, things people can be fired for and not get fired for. grievances, arbitration. Those are things that protect me from being fired for something silly like that. You know, and then he threatened me because he said I didn't service certain engines when the person I worked for Union Pacific, the train coordinator, he tells me what to do. Tim knows that the train coordinator tells me what to do. He says, well, you didn't do what I required you to do. And I'm like, you don't run Union Pacific. They tell me what to do. The train coordinator called him and told him that he would continue to use me as he sees fit. And then when Tim was in the yard, he wanted to meet with me, but didn't want to see the guy in person.
All right, I gotta go get this boy.
For my job to be threatened for anything like that, that's why I want the union to protect my rights in the workplace. Other people here are getting paid $10 an hour. We got people $14 an hour to have a CDL and drive that truck and service these engines, when the people that do the equivalent job without driving the truck with a team of people get paid $28 an hour. So that's what some of the other people's concerns is with the big wage difference. But now they're trying to take away our helpers, so that we have to do all this work by ourselves. And that's something we have to stop too. We have to protect the job of the helpers and protect our own safety. Because we work in these yards sometime in the middle of nowhere by ourselves, and if you get hurt or get killed, nobody will know. They need to have that second person.
What does it say about like the job to, instead of just paying you guys your demands to like spend all the money hiring the union busters and even taking the risk of losing business and all that?
Yeah, I mean, it shows that it'd be a lot cheaper, maybe not cheaper in 10, 20 years, but if they would have given us the PPE we needed, we wouldn't have had the OSHA complaints. They didn't harass us, we probably wouldn't have filed so many of them. We would probably file one, and we could have worked with them on the rest of it. But they continued to harass us, so now they got the OSHA complaints they have to pay a lot of money for, and now they're paying the union buster a lot of money. All of this to not give us proper personal protection gear. They don't give us steel toe boots. Let me give you an example of the company they took the contract from. Bardi, they didn't need a union. They got $4,000 Christmas bonuses every year. They got bonuses for safety. They had guys getting paid $21, $22 an hour. The company bought their steel toe boots. They bought their prescription safety glasses. They gave them all the PPE gear they ever needed. They had monthly meetings with them. Mobile Rail does not meet with us. We have no meetings. Our whole issue yesterday was forcing a damn meeting. They have no meetings with us at all whatsoever. They don't even talk to us. They try to manage this company remotely from California and other states without having to see us in person. The guy Eric who got fired, he got fired by his general manager whom he had never met in person. We have one guy named Andre, he never met anybody. He brought his own personal protection gear and got hired over a cell phone and never saw any of his management. So that, as far as them willing to spend so much money, it's insulting that you want to spend this much money to prevent us from having a union and not us negotiating. Because they can say no in the negotiations for what we asked for, but the fact that we'll be united, it shows that they want to be able to have the power to hire and fire us and be able to scare us at any moment. That we can just fire you for any reason we want, whether you're doing your job or not. And they're willing to pay as much money as they can to prevent that from happening, and that's not right.
Tell me a little bit about some of the union busting tactics that they've
Oh, terrible. One of the union busting tactics is pressure from supervisors, where Tim followed a guy for 6 hours a day, 6 hours on one day. Somebody who's never in the yards. He says I'm in the yards all the time. We all work the yards. We know if we see him. Him being at a yard in a meeting with some manager is not being at the yard. You're supposed to be at the yards talking with us. He started trying to show up at the yards to see when we're going to be late. He started following people around.
Don't worry, I'll be back.
He started calling people, interrogating them, asking them whether they support or did not support the union. He then went over to, they had one of their other guys named Scott, who's a supervisor, audit a guy named Jose that works here, audit Jose for tools being on the ground that the railroad uses. And he was trained by Scott. Scott didn't train him that he had to clean up behind the employees of the railroad. Then he wrote them up for that. But Scott hasn't done anything since, so I think he doesn't want to play this game with them. The other tactic is they send out all these letters all the time. They send union busting letters claiming that we're going to have due check. If someone doesn't pay their dues, they get fired. The way we do things with the IWW, the dues are sent in voluntarily, so that's a lie, trying to scare people. They're telling people that people are that the IWW, you know, may force you to go to a strike. We vote on the strike. We had a unanimous vote on how we were going to engage in things yesterday. So they send a lot of letters scaring people, but can't even send people their paychecks. This guy named Adolfo working for 4 weeks, and they didn't send him his paycheck. But they made sure they sent them every union busted attorney letter they possibly could every single week. Every week he opened up the letter thinking it was his check, and it was a union busting letter. So they could take the time to send all those letters, but not his paycheck. And the big gun they did was firing 3 people in 3 business days, 2 weeks before the election, and only a day or 2 after OSHA complaints. That was their biggest scare tactic, and we knew we had to respond to that right away because we don't know who's going to be next. They started cutting people hours, veterans. People been working here for 3-4 years, getting their hours cut to 3 days and 2 days. You know, you need to have a guaranteed set of days and guaranteed set of hours so you can take care of your families. You know, we cover Mobile Rail with Union Pacific. We deal with Union Pacific. We run the company for them. There's so many things that Mobile Rail's in violation of that they aren't aware of. We make deals with Union Pacific. We work with them. When they have complaints, we take care of their complaints. We cover Mobile Rail's ass every single day because we're trying to protect this company so we can keep our jobs. And this is what they do to us in return. They hire some guy at $4,000 or $5,000 a day plus expenses to wage war and attack us, you know. And then they delayed our election. They posted our election as far as they could possible. And then they're trying to do things to delay it even further.
And so what's, like, how many people in the workforce are supported, and what's like the solidarity amongst workers right now?
Right now we have there's a total of about, there was 27 employees, they fired 3 of them. Out of that, every single person signed an authorization card for the union but 1. We organized this 2 months before we even filed. This is what Mobile Rail isn't aware of. And we were having meetings and conference calls 2 months before we even filed. We were having conference calls, meetings and everything 2 months before we filed. So we had the 98% support before we even filed the election. So, and all the organizing was done with the employees. There wasn't massive numbers of IWW people. IWW is kind of a do-it-yourself union that provides support anyway. So we went at Global 3, 100% support. Global 1, 100% support. That's right here. Global 3 is in Rochelle. Global 2, everybody but 2 drivers. The outlying yards, 100% support. So it's everybody supporting this, but 2 people and a supervisor who's exempt. So right now they're trying to make those guys run 24-hour shifts to cover everything, and they can't cover it all. Excuse me. They can't cover it all. That's illegal. So that's the large amount of support that we actually have. And we got Union Pacific people that come out here. They've taken our paperwork, started posting it through the building, but they were just informed that they can't do that. And they brought all the paperwork back, you know. They've got a lot of employees that call us to check up on us, check up on us on Facebook. So we got a lot of support. All right.